Hello everyone, some unfortunate news today coming out of the hangar. It looks like Tom Edwards has suffered a suspected ACL at training today.
Oh, come on!
He's going to get scans. This is according to Tom Morris, who tweeted it just before, but it seems that it's almost certain that it is an ACL. This is obviously really unfortunate. He got subbed out of last week's game, but in the first game he played against Adelaide, he kicked 3 goals, and he was really good in much of the pre-season games that allowed him, or was the reason that he got elevated to the senior list in the first place. So it's been a long journey for Tom Edwards to get to the point where he was able to be selected onto a senior list. So hopefully everyone will get behind him and aid in his recovery. It's an unfortunate time to do it as well. Probably the worst time to do an ACL is just after the season has started, because you're missing all the actual season itself. So that is probably the worst possible news for him. It is unfortunate, but he will hopefully get into rehab and get it all right. And no doubt he'll have his family and the club behind him, and he'll hopefully get back to bigger and better things. So that is unfortunate news for Tom. You know, we worked so hard to, get to where he was. And look, only a month ago, it looked like he wasn't going to be on a senior list at all. And he dominated that game against the Western Bulldogs in the pre-season, which was the catalyst for elevating him to the senior list. And at 24 years old and 191 centimetres, he was going to be a very valuable player. And I've got no doubt he would have played more senior football this year, particularly during the period that Langford was out in those first 5 or 6 weeks. And I believe he'd kicked, up until the injury, he'd kicked, I think, 12 goals in the last 12 quarters that he'd played. So no doubt this is probably the most inopportune time for him. But unfortunately, that's footy. What can you do? There seems to be someone at every club that does their ACL every year. You wish there was some sort of, technology that they could get these things fixed in 5 or 6 weeks. But unfortunately, if you've got to do it properly, you've got to go through the whole 12-month rehab. So that's bad news for Tom, and we wish him all the best. It hasn't been actually confirmed yet as I'm writing this, but apparently there's almost no doubt from what the information we're getting is that it is an ACL. But we just hope for a bit of a miracle, hopefully that it's not. But look, it doesn't look good at this stage for Tom. If you like this video, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button as well. I'm up to about 804 subscribers. I'd really like to get to 1,000. That'd be absolutely fantastic. It helps the YouTube algorithm when you do that. It doesn't cost any money, so if you just click that button right now, it'd be fantastic. I would really appreciate it. In other news from Essendon, Ben Hobbs is going to be challenging that $1,500 fine for staging. I think this is good news. I actually mentioned in one of the first videos I did, one thing Essendon should do is stick up for their players when they get suspended, or in this case, found guilty by the tribunal. I'm sick of Essendon just copping these suspensions or these guilty verdicts on the chin because they don't think they could, get off if they appeal them. Even if you don't think they can get off, at least as a matter of principle, if you think the player's innocent, you should appeal it. Now, it was thought initially that when Hobbs was tackled that he hit his head on Rosie's shin. It looks as though that's not the case. He didn't hit his head on Rosie's shin, and he put his hand to his head. But he was tackled hard to the ground, and he landed on his shoulder. There's always a little bit of whiplash when you land heavily. I mean, it's not like he wasn't tackled hard. He landed on the ground, with a heavy thud, and he put his hand on his head. So I think this is just one of the more ridiculous fines that I've ever seen. I mean, I wouldn't be paying $1,500 even if I could afford it. I mean, even if it was a $50 fine, I'd be appealing it as a matter of principle. I mean, the guy was slung hard to the ground, lands on the ground hard, puts his hand on his head, and whilst his head didn't appear to hit the ground, I mean, obviously, when you land heavy like that and your head can jolt back even if your shoulder hits the ground first, I really don't think Ben Hobbs was thinking to himself as he's in the middle of a tackle and getting slung to the ground, I'm going to fake this. It just doesn't make any sense. So it's a good thing that he's appealing. I think that they'll get off. I'm going to get this video up before the tribunal verdict has happened, so you guys can leave a comment and let me know if he's found guilty or not and what you think, because we just don't know. You don't know what the tribunal's going to do. These things are just ridiculous at times. You just don't know what the tribunal's going to do. But I would suspect, as I'm saying this, I would suspect that he would not have to pay the fine, and I'm making that prediction, and I'll probably be wrong. Like I said, I'm making this prediction around lunchtime, and the challenge will be tonight. But I just couldn't believe that footage when I saw it, that he this wasn't some sort of incident where it was, most, how can I put it? Most faking incidents involve what you would call non-physical acts or very low physical acts where a player accentuates contact. They're pushed, but they go down like they were pushed really hard when they weren't really pushed. Things like that where it was minor contact and they make it seem like it was heavy contact. This was not like that at all. This was heavy contact. This was a hard tackle in which he landed on the ground in a heavy and hard fashion, in which it's not unreasonable to think that he actually could have hurt himself when he landed. I'm not suggesting that there was anything wrong with the tackle, but this was not like a typical faking incident in the past where a player just accentuates soft contact and makes it seem like it's harder contact. This was a heavy, hard tackle, and I have no reason to think that he was faking it. I think it was ridiculous. So I really hope that he gets off that charge. I think it's ridiculous. And leave a comment as to whether you think that he should get off. I think he should. In fact, from what I've seen about this incident, even opposition fans are saying it's ridiculous. And we don't get a lot of love from opposition fans. So when someone is sticking up for one of our players, due to a dodgy tribunal decision, that you're probably on the right side of it, because you normally get too many things go away. It sort of reminded me a few years ago when Mark Johnson got a free kick given against him because he called an opponent a weak dog. I remember that. It would have been back in the mid-2000s sometime, where he called an opponent a weak dog, which is just a bit of gamesmanship. And the umpire gave a free kick against him. It's not quite the same, but it's just as ridiculous. So I'm glad Hobbs or glad the club is challenging this. They've apparently put a written submission in to the AFL, and so they should, and hopefully he gets off that fine, just as a matter of principle. Like I said, I wouldn't matter if it was $20 he got fined. I wouldn't be copping that. And also, I think it's a bit of a slur on your reputation. That's the other thing. Even if it wasn't a fine, you've been sort of called a faker. You've been called that you're accentuating contact when you were thrown to the ground in a hard tackle. It seems like, if anything, he was the victim, right? I'm not saying there's really a victim here, not a real victim, but if anything, he was the one that got thrown to the ground. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Leave a message in the comments. Please leave a like for this video. It helps the YouTube algorithm when you do that. And as always, go Bombers and have a great day.